It's your boy James Phantoms. We back. What's up? How you doing? I'm doing good. United Health, not so well. Their CEO, if you didn't hear, got and that was really big thing. That was really big thing. And now you have all these articles coming out and seeing the public's reaction to it. A lot of people are just eh, and that sounds terrible, but that's like basically what I'm getting from society. I'm not saying it, but I'm getting it from the conscientious of everybody else. I'm just hearing it from everybody else. And you could go on their Facebook page, you could go on Reddit, TikTok, anything, and you're just going to hear about how United Health denied a bunch of different uh, claims for people who needed like life-threatening surgeries and everything. Everybody just came out and started sharing their stories, and it really put a spotlight on American healthcare. So I used to work for American Healthcare. I used to work for a business. I'm not going to say who it was, but I was in corporate level, and I really got to see a side of America that a lot of people don't see. It's really dark, man. There's people who I spoke to who couldn't afford like $4.12 of like HIV medicine. There's people who I told them the price of their medicine, and they said, "How about I spend less money, go get a firearm, and take so out back? You get the rest." You know what I'm saying? It's really dark. So I thought since the spotlight's on there, we could kind of dive into the whole industry and whatnot. We're gonna focus on CVS here, and this brilliant video by More Perfect Union really sheds a perfect light on the whole situation. So we're just gonna react to it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Comment, share your own stories. Uh, are you happy about everything and where the United States healthcare is right now? If not, let's hear about it.
That CVS's like this become a weird ghost town. Just a few people staffing an entire store while crates stack up, lines wrap around the aisles, and the one cashier has to go help someone at aisle 5 unlock deodorant that is, for some reason, imprisoned behind plexiglass.
And it's behind plexiglass because there's a lot of homeless people probably in that area. They need those products, so they go in and steal. The average CVS worker is not going to stop somebody from theft. They're not getting paid enough, nor do they really have that kind of personality. So
You go to a pharmacy to buy aspirin, to buy a toothbrush, and it takes you 45 minutes to get a clerk to open up the glass.
What is going on here? This is a company that made $8.3 billion last year. So I started digging, and what I found was shocking. The chaos in the front of the store is just the tip of the iceberg.
Behind the scenes, pharmacists at CVS and local pharmacies around the country are sounding the alarm about a deliberate strategy that is putting lives at risk and threatening a key service that we all rely on to get the medication we need.
Ohio issues.
no, like seriously, um, I know somebody who was trying to get their medicine, and their doctor prescribed them the medicine. Like they've been with this doctor for years, literal years. Doctor just prescribed their medicine like they usually do. They try to go to the pharmacy, they won't fill it. They wouldn't approve it. They need a prior authorization and get it approved by another doctor. I think it's like a PBM they call it, to approve that medicine just for them to get it. It's crazy.
Serious sanctions against one of the country's
And, why,
largest
and
farm.
not only that, but while you're waiting for that prior authorization, that could probably take a week. It could take weeks. Sometimes it could take days if it's like really important. Other times it could take weeks. So you're without that medicine, you could go through withdrawal. You could suffer a lot of side effects. And by the time you get that medicine,
Pharmacy chains for endangering patient safety.
In 2023, journalist Marty Schladen got a call regarding the Ohio Board of Pharmacy, the agency tasked with regulating pharmacies, including CVS.
They found unsanitary conditions in the pharmacy. They found expired drugs on the shelves. They go back a week later and find that they were still there.
the people there don't care. Now, maybe they do, but you gotta think about it. They're probably being enslaved. They're probably working understaffed. They probably only one, two people working at a time, if not maybe three. I don't really know how it is inside the actual store. We gonna figure. That's why we watching this. But well, maybe I do because when I go to my local CVS, I see maybe 1 to 3 people work. Not one, maybe like 3 people working at most. Sometimes I see 5, but sometimes I only see 3 people, and then I only see one person working the front. It's crazy. It looks like they're trying to shorten their money they spend to operate so they can maximize the profits to the roof. Maybe they know something that's going on that we don't know about. Whatever.
They found instances of mislabeling of drugs.
Inspectors
dangerous.
noted that the stores were severely
Oh, I
understaffed.
was just talking about it.
Much like what you've seen at the front of a CVS, too few pharmacists were left with an impossible workload.
See, and we can argue if there's more than people than there in the back, but all I see is a long line and 2 people. So
They
you
found
probably have one person taking it and then the other person filling the order, like pinning, getting the medicine and everything, and then one person just stays up there, takes pick up, drop off.
ridiculously long wait times to get prescriptions filled, sometimes as long as a month.
That's if somebody goes longer than a month without their medication, especially if it's something like pain medication, things can get really bad. That's just ridiculous that you have to wait that long for your medication. Um, it's sickening to me. There's a lot of situations in other places where if you needed your medication, you're able to get it. You don't have to go through a bunch of loopholes and what have you, especially with the way how Medicare is right now. I did recently see that they got rid of the out-of-pocket. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I saw, um, which is great because that put a lot of people in what's called this donut hole. Hopefully, things will get better than this because this looks like it's on the verge of collapse.
But CVS had an excuse
Already.
for all of this: the pandemic. COVID had created a labor shortage, and pharmacists were now also being tasked with giving out an unprecedented amount of vaccines. Marty, however, found a different explanation.
There was testimony
But if they have an unprecedented amount of vaccines that they have to give out, then why don't you staff your pharmacies the way they should be staffed so they can handle that influx? That's the smart thing to do. You're literally stressing out your whole workforce. You're literally creating another generation of workforce that are about to be like, yo, if it's not a certain way for me, I'm not doing nothing for you. A lot of people are going to get tired of this, man. We're already
before the
tired.
Board of Pharmacy by former employees that even when they requested extra help and it was available, word came down from district and regional managers that we have to keep our hours down. In other
We have to keep our hours down. Why? But you have to keep your. That exactly. They're trying to keep expenses down. But you hear these complaints from internal, like saying, "Yo, we need help," and you're just like that one scene in Call of Duty where Ghost got hip to what was going on, and then they ended up taking him out.
That's one must lose out.
The most iconic scenes in Call of Duty history. It's like, yo, we try to tell you we need help, and you're just like, man, burn, basically.
words, keep expenses down. Technicians, instead of filling this backlog of prescriptions, were being told to call people and make sure that they came and picked up their autofill prescriptions and did they want to come in and get a flu shot. And the way that these employees, pharmacists and technicians, viewed it was CVS, instead of making sure it was doing its core function properly, was out chasing new dollars.
Pharmacists are the last line of defense in stopping deadly or harmful medication errors. Doctors might accidentally prescribe a medication that dangerously interacts with another medication. They might prescribe a drug that is less effective than newer ones to treat.
That's the thing. Like, even with it comes to talking about like the alternatives that they'll give for you, like when you go through what's called a prior authorization, so your doctor gets faxed some like a form to fill out, basically saying what's the medical need for this, how much are you taking, blah blah blah. They skip right. So one of the things that a lot of people do is like CVS is they'll offer you like alternatives like generics or something like that. But those generics, they're not performing the same. I would say they're not performing the same way. Imagine if you got like you had the premium of something for the low for the longest. Like you just had, you were able to get a really good drug that was effective in whatever you were going through, and it's been like that for like 30, 40 years. And then they're like, nah, you can't get it. You have to wait. And while you wait, you can't see if we have an alternative drug to it. And then if it's like on a tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, you're paying exorbitant amount of money. Sometimes, if not most of the time, I will say it is on the low tier, but I will say, or I would assume, and a little bit, assume a little bit, and from personal experience from other people who take these medicines, they don't perform the same way. So, it's best if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Duh.
Treat the same condition. You might write the wrong dose. It is a pharmacist's job to prevent any of these scenarios. But here's the thing. After Marty's story got national traction, he kept hearing similar stories about CVS from all around the country. So I decided to keep the investigation going. I talked to multiple pharmacists, dug through national reports, and reviewed a database of anonymous pharmacist complaints collected by pharmacy advocates.
Yeah.
What I found was horrifying.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. Welcome to the side of America that most people don't even talk about or know about, or don't even want to talk about. I'm telling you, y'all, there's a whole side of America. Sure, there's sides, but this is a huge, huge side of America that people don't really know about, and it's about your life and well-being and your health. It's
A pharmacist at a CVS in
Like-
South Carolina
do not get sick. That's like I've heard from one. I was talking to one of my clients when I used to work corporate, and they told me, you might need to have on average $1 million just put aside for your health care, depending on what you're going through, and just to take care of like the exorbitant cost of the system. Average $1 million. A lot of people don't even have 10,000 in the bank account for medications. So it's just you can't even. It's mind-boggling. Like you can't even visualize like $1 million.
complained of having too many tasks. I'm going to make a mistake. It's only a matter of time and degree, they wrote. While anonymous, it echoed what many others were saying. In Virginia Beach, a pharmacist described conditions as a sweatshop. A staff
That's so dangerous.
pharmacist stated
So
hours had been cut to the
You're
point
messing with
where she
medicine.
didn't
This is
know
not
how the
flipping
pharmacy
burgers.
was supposed to function.
No
Pharmacist
disrespect-
at a CVS specialty
No disrespect to people who flip burgers, but this is medicine, man. You eat a burger, you might be full, unless you have a allergic reaction or something to that where you just can't be eating it and you're just being stupid and you're eating it. If you can take something that's good for you with medication, but if you take too much of it, you can die. Or if you take the wrong medication or the wrong dosage, you can die. If it's not set up the right way, you can die.
pharmacy in
You know what I'm
Redlands
saying? Like,
complained
not
of
to wake up.
pressure to cut corners as they handled temperature-sensitive drugs for cancer patients. I'm afraid I'm going to kill someone, wrote one pharmacist from New York. I am a danger to the public working for CVS, one pharmacist wrote to the Texas State Board of Pharmacy.
That's scary because in one way, you're automatically and possibly going to tell this person, whoever it is, then quit, right? Quit. Go find another job. If you're done with it and this is how you really feel, and this is what a lot of companies and businesses would tell their employees too. If you don't like it here, if you don't, you're telling us too much about ourselves, and we don't want to do nothing about it. It's all about you. It's not us. If you don't like it here, you gotta go. And they can talk all about you, what you're not doing right, and everything, blah, blah, skip. But as soon as you start talking about them, well, it's the bigger picture. Oh no, you're done. So a lot of people would tell this person, in conclusion to that just find another job. Dude, do you know the job market right now? It's so. One time I got offered a job. I went to orientation. We talked. I did the trade videos and everything. They said they were gonna get back to me doing my schedule. They never called back. I have another job at the time, and I get a random message one day saying, if you don't come in and make this schedule, if you don't do what we're gonna do, then you consider yourself done. I'm like, I read that text message, I closed it, I kept doing what I was doing. Dude, what the heck? They tripping out here. They're out of pocket. it's hard to get another job, man, and hard to be secure in that job. A lot of jobs they want to paint this picture that, oh, we're a family or we're this, that, like to skip, and every place is struggling to survive right now. It's like any day the economy of America is on the brink of collapse, Loki. And especially in this kind of service, a level of customer service, we get beat up the most, man. We get beat up pretty bad. We're probably next to like police officers and like political people. Now, political people are just evil, but like I'm talking about people. I would like to say people who are just trying to do their job and get beat up, like customer service people. Like we get beat up pretty bad. So it's imagine you finally find a job and then you just it's no better. It's just boo boo. You know what I'm saying? Just ass and then imagine just filing for jobs for months on end, years on end, because that's just what it is now. It's a whole different landscape than what it was just 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Completely different landscape.
While many of these workers remain anonymous, we did get one pharmacist to speak on camera. Marie Shaw, who worked for CVS in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic.
The phones ring constantly off the hook. Sometimes you get so busy, we grab the wrong bag so the patient gets somebody else's.
The overflowing aisles of unpacked boxes that you've seen on the retail side? Well, Maurice faced a similar reality on the pharmacy side.
When we look for drugs to fill, we're just digging through these totes for medication that should just be on the shelf so we could just quickly grab it and fill it and put it back, but it just was no time.
With staff pressed for time, shipments of drugs would stay unorganized, forcing customers to wait days for critical...
This looks crazy, bro. How are you supposed to know, like, on the fly, where to go, where to get things at? It looks like there's no order. Like, this looks insane.
Potentially life-saving medications. Maurice has since left CVS, unwilling to deal with the understaffing.
There wasn't a shortage of pharmacists. That's just how they scheduled. It's the budget that they put to maximize profit. I have friends that work at CVS that tell me like, man, I have a hard time sleeping at night because I just sit up all night thinking about the mistakes that I might have made.
No, that's how I feel. Like I didn't have a license, but I was put in a position where I could approve medication. Like I can override, I could put in codes. Like I could use like the old school programs where I would put in certain codes and I could get your medication approved or I could get it lowered, stuff like that. And sometimes I would be scared if I made the wrong code or if I made the wrong decision. Like maybe they should have got the medication, or maybe they should have not gotten it. They should not have been taking this. They should have been taking that. You know, it's a very dynamic field to be in, and you gotta want to help people. If you don't want to help people, it's not the type of field for you, man. And for those who do want to help people, it's a very stressful field. And you got to learn to navigate and just hope that, you know, the system gets better. And if you're some of those really great people, you can get put in positions of power where you can make those changes that are needed for the betterment of our society. So, you know, it's very stressful. I've had many nights like that where I can't get sleep just thinking about, did I do this? Especially during the season right now, like holiday season, a lot of people are flying out. They need the medication now during a certain date. So, just, you know, nostalgia on that.
Concerned about losing their license.
Similar problems have been reported at other chains like Walgreens, but hey, if you don't want to take a gamble on your prescriptions at a chain pharmacy, you can just go somewhere else, right?
Since January 1st of this year, over 1,000 independent
Just go to somewhere else. You'll see why.
pharmacies have closed in the United States.
That's crazy.
That's Benjamin Jolly, an independant pharmacist
Sorry
from
for cutting you
Utah,
off like that,
That's a
Justin. You
humongous
dropped the
independent
ball.
pharmacies.
right?
Since January 1st of this year, over 1,000 independent pharmacies have closed in the United States.
That's Benjamin Jolly, an independent pharmacist from Utah.
That's a humongous number of independent pharmacies that are closing and just can't hack it anymore.
One of the biggest reasons for these closures? Ultimately, it has a lot to do with CVS, but in a more covert way. Simply put, insurance companies aren't reimbursing independent pharmacists like Benjamin the full amount of money it would take for them to buy the drugs for their customers in the first place.
This whole bottle of 1,000 capsules costs $30. So it's like 3 cents per capsule. But I might get only paid 4 cents per capsule. So if I give you 30 capsules, I'll make a whole 30 cents on it.
Oh, that's some bull.
That's some bullshit.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. I was trying to keep it PG. That's some bullshit. And you expect me to keep my staff and the store and all the bills that I have and the operations and infrastructure costs running? You're no pun intended, but you're out of pocket with that. You're out of pocket.
That's not enough to fund the staff. That's not enough to fund the lights, the rent, whatever.
This creates a bizarre world where attracting more paying customers actually loses pharmacies money. And for many of these pharmacies, the result is closure. Nearly 800 zip codes that had at least one pharmacy in 2015 now have 0. And for many struggling pharmacies facing closure, their only lifeline is coming from the people simultaneously putting them out of business.
Small pharmacies were suffering from low reimbursements, would get letters from the real estate arm of CVS Corporation, CVS Health, saying, we know reimbursements are low, we know business conditions are hard. Have you thought about selling your business to us?
That's low-key messed up. So we're gonna kick you while you down. Yeah, you screw your passion, screw you trying to be a staple in your neighborhood, try to get the best prices that you're trying to give to your clients and your people, and screw all that. Like, you're not making money. So just give it to us. Just give it to us. We're gonna do it the right way. Leave your pharmacy in good hands.
Us. In the business, they call it buy and close. They buy my pharmacy, they close it, and they take the prescriptions I had and move it to the nearest CVS pharmacy. It's seemingly added to the problem with understaffing and underservice of patients in existing pharmacies.
So some of the medication you got could have came from an entire different pharmacy that they bought out because they literally, the healthcare system, or at least some of these entities who are playing in it, pit these people in a hole. They want it where you can only, if we are the Amazon of medication, you can only come to us. We will only approve what we want you to have, and we will price it how we want it to be priced. Not for the convenience of you, but like, hey, I have every Lamborghini that was ever made, but I want them all in blue. So I need a couple extra $1 million. That's how it feels. Because you already got everything. You have the great job. You have a great job at everything, so it's like, what more could you want?
It's important to note that CVS got big through a series of acquisitions and not due to its quality of service. In addition to pharmacies, CVS bought out Aetna, a popular health insurance provider. In 2023, CVS paid $10 billion for a chain of doctors' offices. Some claim CVS's goal is to be the Amazon of healthcare.
Yeah.
But here's the real grift. Those companies that are underpaying pharmacists through low reimbursements, they're called PBMs. I'll keep it very brief. We did a whole video about them. Basically, your insurance hires them to handle prescription drug payments. And what do you know? CVS owns one of the largest PBMs in the country, Caremark.
So let's unpack that for a second.
This is Antonio Chacha, the former head of the Ohio Pharmacist Association and an advocate for drug pricing reform.
One of the largest companies in America gets to tell the patient where they can and can't get their medicines filled. They get to set the co-pays from one pharmacy or one drug to another. They also get to arbitrarily set the rates of reimbursements for the pharmacies.
That's some mafia monopoly tactics, y'all. Imagine if you're like, hey, I want to use my pharmacy I've been using for years, and Caremark or whatever PBM that you're using, it's like, no, you can't. It's out of network, and if you use that, it's going to be 4 times the cost. You have to use us now. It's no cheaper, really. It's cheaper going to them. It's still a lot, but it's cheaper going to them because they price it stupid high for the other ones. It's all a game. I'm telling you, this is all a game, and it's sickening.
With its massive market power, CVS is able to shepherd the most profitable prescriptions away from any non-CVS pharmacy and into their own stores.
When I submit
My
a
mother had an issue about that. She was mad as hell about it. Oh man, it was crazy.
claim for someone's insurance, and I'll bill it to the CVS Caremark, and it'll say, oh, sorry, this prescription can't be filled at Jolly's. It has to go to CVS Pharmacy. And that has grown substantially over time. This is a medicine called etravirine. It's a medicine for HIV. But if they have insurance through an employer, their insurance may say, you have to get etravirine through the mail order.
This anti-competitive practice.
That's another thing I completely forgot. There's only certain types of medication you cannot get unless you get it through mail order. It's crazy. If you really need that medication, or if you skip a beat, or if a customer service rep on the other end messes up your account and your refills, it can screw you up for months. For months. I've seen it. I've talked to people about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. One thing can throw everything off, and it is so hard to fix. It's so hard to fix. You gotta do. People will say, "Oh, you just put it on override." Oh, no. It's so hard to fix. I don't care what anybody says. It's more than just put it in the override.
Practice where a CVS-owned PBM forces customers to use a CVS-owned pharmacy. It's not unique. It's employed by United Healthcare, which owns Optum Rx, and
Oh shit.
Just in the words that Drake said in his one diss song. Oh shit, I just made the whole connection.
Cigna, which owns Express Scripts, two major PBMs. Despite owning an insurance company, a PBM, and many more subsidiaries, and despite cutting many corners, CVS is struggling to please its shareholders.
All right, what's it going to take for CVS Health to turn itself around?
Each one of those units is struggling to either grow sales or to grow operating profit.
Uncle. Say uncle and sell it.
As a result, CVS has been shuttering its own stores. So after years of putting independent pharmacies out of business, they're leaving fresh, new pharmacy deserts where it doesn't make sense for their bottom line. And wherever CVS...
That's the thing. That's another crazy thing. How are you gonna buy out the neighborhood, put your stuff there? There's no other pharmacy there, and then you go close it because you want to work for mail. We're about to be a virtual pharmacy. Like you got to call in and get mail order. That is so fucked up.
Is still operating.
That's so messed
They're doing
up,
so with unkempt aisles, minimal staffing, and dangerous practices. Why? Because it's cheaper. Because they can. Where are you going to go? Walgreens, where it's exactly the same? Fortunately, there are efforts to improve this bleak reality, both at CVS and in pharmacy more broadly. The state of Ohio, for instance, told CVS that they had had enough.
The Board of Pharmacy inspections and our reporting led the Board of Pharmacy to adopt strict new regulations. All prescriptions in Ohio now have to be filled within 72 hours. Pharmacists now have broad new powers. If they feel like they're too overwhelmed to do their jobs properly, they can require more staffing. They can't be retaliated against for doing that. Fines were handed out.
They threw the proverbial book at them and fined them.
Man, 1.5 million. Didn't we just talk about how they made what $8.8 billion in profits, which was like double their profits? The 1.5 million. It's hard for people to even imagine, like in the physical realm, what a million looks like, unless you hit it before. It's not a lot of people. Imagine trying to see $8.8 billion physically. There's probably very, very, very few people, and there's probably more of them not living than living who have seen that in our history, arguably. Imagine if you had infinite money, because at that point you have infinite money. I don't care what anybody says. You and your family are good for till this planet blows up, or unless they mess up the money. They can screw up the money 30 different times and still be fine. That's how much money they have there. Like, it's crazy. Imagine that you have that money and someone's like, you gotta pay 1.5 million. You're probably gonna be like, okay, we're fine. Where do we sign so we get through this? Because 1.5 million is nothing. You might as well. You don't have to pay anything. That's how I would see it. You don't have to pay anything. Okay, just sign here. We're gonna write this number here. Just sign here. Oh, because this number to me is nothing.
Over $1 million, which I know doesn't sound a lot, right? But from a precedent perspective, the gloves were taken off, and CVS was put on notice that the business of old was not going to be allowable in the future.
Additionally, the Pharmacist Guild and people like Maurice are successfully unionizing chain pharmacies like CVS across the country. One of their goals? To protect pharmacists from the kind of understaffing that puts patients at risk. There's also a bipartisan bill in Congress that targets some of the worst behaviors of CVS Caremark and other PBMs.
The Pharmacists Fight Back Act is really predicated on getting at the heart of some of the conflicts within the PBM industry. If they make money off of setting arbitrarily high rates of reimbursement for the pharmacies they own and arbitrarily low rates for the pharmacies that they don't own, this bill is really centered on going after that inherent conflict to create a more standardized method of payment for pharmacies that isn't subject to the whims and desires of conflicted actors in the PBM marketplace.
To establish pharmacy payment and reimbursement by pharmacists, benefit managers, to improve prescription drug transparency for other purposes.
The Pharmacist Fight Back Act would remove some of the tools CVS uses to push independent pharmacies out of business. When it comes to federal programs like Medicaid and Medicare, the bill bars PBMs from restricting and manipulating patients' use of in-network pharmacies. It also sets minimums for drug reimbursements. It's an important first step for reining in CVS and the other corporations that are getting rich at the expense of American consumers.
At the end of the day, you gonna get most of the money anyway. You gotta give us some of the money back. You gotta give us what we deserve. Like, you're gonna be billionaires. Like, even if we're both billionaires, let's say I'm a small mom and pop store and I finally became like $1 billion business. I spread out woo-to-woo. CVS is probably gonna be like a $50 billion business. So it's like, we're still gonna be small, even if it, in some way, shape, or form, gets to that point in that kind of reality. Will it? I doubt it. But let us be millionaires, man. Let us take care of our community. Let us make sure that we can give these medications out, because these people are relying on us. They don't care about all the red, tape and all the bullshit. They need what they need to survive. It's that simple. It shouldn't be a debate, or it shouldn't really be a debate about anything other than that, than making sure that we can provide the service and tools for them.
The bill will help independent pharmacies when they fill prescriptions, stop them from losing money.
CVS's response? Well, they just named the president of Caremark as their new CEO. So the guy running CVS's PBM, the arm of the company stiffing independent pharmacists and forcing consumers to use CVS pharmacies, is now running the whole show. So don't expect them to clean up their own game. Outside pressure is more crucial now than ever.
In the meantime, I'll be right here, waiting for someone to come unlock the deodorant.
No, that was perfect. That explained a lot, y'all. There's a whole different side of America y'all don't really know about, man. And this is like a tame version of it. Like, we didn't really get into the stories of customers, for real. We heard general stories, but we didn't really get into the, like, what the customers feel, because they're at the end of the barrel on this. Like, they're the ones who are going, I'm telling you, it's crazy. Hopefully, we can make the right choices and everything and get this all cleared up, because this is just a basic necessity. I care about how much groceries are, but I also care about how I'm going to be able to get my medicine so I can wake up the next day. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys have something you want to say. What do you feel about our healthcare system? So with that being said, peace.